as transactions grow, so does risk of fraud. And recently, a company in Nigeria, payments infrastructure giant, to see it on the fund recovery run after a system glitch, saw the company lose about 30 billion. The 30 billion now to chargeback fraud. Well, let's get a sense of how chargeback fraud works and how businesses can protect themselves. Joining us for this conversation is Mr. Sarafuddin Fasashi, and he's a member, CIBN Subcommittee on Agent Banking Certification Program. Joining us right here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah,
good morning.
So that's a huge sum.
It is huge.
Being lost to chargeback fraud. Break it down for us. How does it work?
Okay.
And how do you recover your money back, losing that kind of amount?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think we must first of all commend the company that came to actually publicize his own, challenge that hit. It's not the first company. We just need to salute the courage of InterSwitch. It's going to actually help the industry to know that while we are celebrating growth in digital payment, while we are encouraging mass financial inclusion through digital, we also need to start discussing the challenges in digital payments. We also need to upgrade our policies, our regulations to support digital payments. Without that, company will continue to have issues. I am aware about more than 5 companies in Nigeria that have gone into distress because of chargeback, because of system glitch, and when you look at it, what is chargeback in its sense? Chargeback is when a customer does a transaction, a POS or ATM transaction, and maybe there is a network issue, it failed at that, and the customer gets debited. So the customer is allowed to visit the bank and fill dispense error form. That form will now be scanned by his own bank to the acquiring bank, where you use the system, because it's a two-way thing. Where you are using your card, we call it acquiring bank. The one that issue your card is the issuing bank. So you use ATM from that another bank is servicing is the acquiring bank. You have issue with it, you have to go to your own bank, which is the issuing bank. So they will now send the form you fill to confirm if that transaction actually, what the status of that transaction, whether you get value or you didn't get value for that transaction. So, and the regulation as of today is that all these things should happen within the space of 72 hours. If you fill a form and your bank refuses to send it across, or your bank send it very late, maybe after 24 hours, you only have 24 hours left. So the acquiring bank will now review it. We also need to go and get in touch with the merchant or the agent where you use that transaction. Assuming that agent is not on seat or is unable to access his mail, automatically the time will pass and the system will debit that merchant and credit the customer that complained automatically. And today, the fraudsters, they are capitalizing on that policy gap, that automated, debit of an account. So they would have gotten value because they know that our system is very slow.
Who are the criminals in this process?
There are digital criminals outside there. In fact, they are growing every day. I am a bit concerned about this because my company has been hit like twice based on this same fraud. In 2018, we are operating at aggregator level. We have like 3 categories of level in payment system. You have the people the agents, the bank branches. Those are the front end. Then you have at the back end, you have the fintechs, you have the tech solution, you have the processors. At the back, you have the regulators, the policy that is supporting them. Now, at the front end, if you are struck by this kind of chargeback issue, the policy will not support you to recover it, because as of today, a bank cannot debit a customer account without the consent of that customer. Whether you are a fraudulent customer, whether you are a real customer. So the bank has no power to debit you and reverse such transactions.
So, because sometimes when I'm, making some transactions, it's really frustrating. You make a payment with your card, they debit you, but you see that it failed on the machine. But you're still debited, and sometimes it takes forever to get that money back. So I'm wondering, could a customer that suffered that also be a criminal in that?
Of course, there are some.
So am I supposed to, if I get the money back after a while, I got my money back, so how's the criminal activity going to happen?
The kind of syndicates that we have are people that are aware. Maybe they have worked in the banking sector before. They understand this flow. They understand the policy issue. They understand that there is also brain drain in the banking sectors. Very few people really have the knowledge of reconciliation in the banking sector as of today. So they are there to beat them. We have certain syndicates that, from the agent's point, you see them attempting transactions of, let's say, 200,000, 300,000 with the same card. The same. I had this experience last 2-3 years when somebody was using the same card for 200, 300, 400, 500. Those are intelligence reports that we are supposed to quickly escalate to the security agent or to the, to the bank. But unfortunately, the business is not interested in curbing crime because it's also cost intensive. If a bank comes in today, who is going to finance the prosecution? Now, I have made an attempt from our own company. We reported a particular syndicate. And you have to mobilize police. You have to, they have to do tracking. You have to be the one to invest in that. They have to go to anywhere those criminals have to go and arrest them. You have to pay for hotels. You have to pay for all these. So, we're discouraged to follow that through. And this same syndicate, since 2018, just last week, I still observed their transactions. I still observe their transactions at some agent locations. And they have been able to beat a lot of organizations that are coming into the space. Because today, a lot of people are coming into POS business, payment business, without having the knowledge of reconciliation. Because it is a very scarce skill set. Human resources of most organizations, they only recruit everybody into that sector without knowing that, you require specialized knowledge.
This is quite a big issue. How as a business, how do you protect yourself, from this kind of fraud? Because over the weekend, I did get that information about MTN. There was a glitch, in their system, and a lot of airtime loans, were wiped. From customer accounts. And I'm wondering, what's causing all these glitches? Is it the jackpot trend? They're losing a lot of, support for all of this, their services. Talk to us about it.
Okay. The fundamental issue here is actually the knowledge. The digital knowledge. If you look at the evolution of digital payments, it's actually happening, aggressively in the last 10 years in Nigeria. So let us also go and fact check how many trainings are being, conducted in that space in the last 10 years. Then who are the facilitators? You understand? Because as of today, whether we like it or not, digital knowledge is not in our schools. Digital knowledge is not in our training schools. They are outside there on the feed. So there is a need for a system to be able to harvest those brains. The best developers are not the first-class graduate of any institution in Nigeria. So the best reconciliation team, they are leaving the banks to jackpot syndrome, So, and they are not being replaced. There is no mechanism for transfer of knowledge. And every HR sees every employee today as the same. You understand? If you want to send anybody out of the system today, you don't consider that some skill sets are rare to replace. So today, and part of the challenge in the system is that everybody is now doing everything. When we first started, you have a segment. The banks are doing their own job. The banks should have advantage in reconciliation. The banks are jumping into mobile money space, into super agent space, which are actually meant for the fintechs, So by going there, you need the skill sets in that space to cover for you. Super agents, they have already left the banking system. Now they are also registering their own licensed banks. So to back them up, without having the knowledge of the banking system. You know, it's a knowledge issue, and our policy also. I think we are still operating with pre-digital era policies. So we should. Today, I have been privileged to have interaction with security agents, and today, out of several complaints in the police station in EFCC, more than 80% are digital. So how do you investigate digital cases when you yourself, you don't even understand, you know, the digital thing, you know? So it is also important that the security agent, the banking, we have to, all everybody will need to come together to admit the fact that there is a knowledge gap and there is a need for us to understand the flow. So so that we can curb these syndicates that are going around. And something that government needs to come to quickly arrest is who is going to finance prosecution. We are gathering intelligence at mobile money agents location across the country. We have mobile money association of Nigeria, Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, that they have network of agents across Nigeria. So this intelligent information, where should they report to? Who will finance it? Who will take it off from there if they are able to report it?
Right. So much
it is that's
so much to unpack there. I guess at some point we should have a digital police, maybe going forward to track all of those illegal transactions. Thank you so much for your perspective today, Mr. Sarafuddin Fasashi, member CIBN Subcommittee on Agent Banking Certification Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hope.